The Dark Tide series was first outlined as 3 books under the working title The Jedi Retreat Trilogy. These included Onslaught, Siege and Ruin, which told largely the same story except spread out over 3 novels. Siege would have included Leia's efforts to recruit help from the Imperial Remnant, and a disillusioned Jason would briefly apprentice himself to Corran Horn. In the Ruin outline, Luke and Mara would be drawn to Ithor to search for a cure to Mara's illness, which would turn the planet into a target. The Bafford trilogy was not present in the early outlines. The paperback version of this book was published in February of 2000. So the first book, Onslaught, starts with Leia trying to convince Bosk Failure of the severity of the Yuuzhan Vong threat. We also see Gavin Darklighter training. He's learning how to defeat the Coral Skippers. Then we see all of our Jedi characters in Yavin 4. We see the conflict between Kip, Duron and Luke Skywalker being developed over here. Kip wants to take the fight to the Yuuzhan Vong, but Luke Skywalker disagrees with such an aggressive response. Here, different Jedi are assigned different assignments. Corran and Garner Isod go to Bemiel, Anakin and Mara go to Dantooine, Luke and Jason go to Belkadan, while Jaina helps Leia on Brillion. So Corran Horn and Garner Isod survey Bemiel. Bemiel is the site of an endangered xenoarchaeological expedition. Scientists on Bemiel have uncovered the mummified remains of Yuuzhan Vong, which proves that the invaders probed the galaxy before. We see Corran and Garner fighting a couple of Yuuzhan Vong and also see the embrace of pain. It is this weird organic device the Yuuzhan Vong use. And we see Corran and Garner working together to defend the scientists from the aliens and escape with the remains. In doing so, Corran also makes an enemy of the Yuuzhan Vong commander Shadao Shai, whom we'll see in the next book. Then we see Luke and Jason solo traveling to Belkadan. In the first book, Vector Prime, Belkadan was conquered by the Yuuzhan Vong and transformed into a place where coral skippers are grown and people are held as slaves. So Jason sees a dream which leads to him rushing to free the slaves. But he is defeated by the aliens and captured briefly before Luke is able to rescue him. The scene in which Luke fights all those Yuuzhan Vong warriors was a great one. I think it was wonderfully written. Luke is just a badass in the scene. He killed like 6 Yuuzhan Vong warriors in a second. But he did have a weakness over here. He was extremely exhausted after battling all the Yuuzhan Vong warriors. Then we see Leia. She's voyaging to Brillion, and with the help of Rogue Squadron and Admiral Crayfay of the New Republic fleet, she begins to evacuate the world. Over here we also see Jaina Solo being recruited as a Rogue Squadron pilot. I think this made a lot of sense because even in the Young Jedi Knights books, Jaina always wanted to become a pilot. She was even jealous of Lobaka having his own ship. So it was good to see that her character was finally getting some development. And we see the population of Brillion. They intend to retreat to Agamar. It's a planet nearby. But a Yuuzhan Vong attack diverts them to Dantooine instead. So on Dantooine, Mara Jade and Anakin Solo are resting in the hope of Mara recuperating from her mysterious illness. Here we see a few bits of comedy between Anakin and the natives of Dantooine. We also see Anakin killing a couple of Yuuzhan Vong warriors, and in the end, Luke and Jason come to rescue them from another Yuuzhan Vong attack force. There is a scene when a few Yuuzhan Vong warriors are chasing Anakin and Mara, and in the last second, Luke and Jason come to save them. After that, the New Republic and Yuuzhan Vong forces converge in Dantooine. The Yuuzhan Vong disguise their warriors within the human refugee camps and reveal themselves in deadly surprise attacks. I think a couple of the Nogri bodyguards also died in these attacks. In the end, we see the Yuuzhan Vong. They launch waves of slave soldiers, which are called reptoids, into an immense battle along the grasslands, and in the end we see Admiral Trace Crayfay coming in and saving the day. In the very last chapter, we see Wedge and Tycho rejoining Rogue Squadron. Overall, I really enjoyed the first book. I think it was great seeing Anakin Solo finally entering the spotlight, but there were a few places where I thought that the book wasn't as good as it could be. The first thing was that the dialogue between Mara and Luke was technically broken. It wasn't as good as Timothy Zahn's conversations between Luke and Mara, and I didn't hope it to be. It was a bit different, but I think I'll need to get used to that. The second thing is that throughout the book we don't have much of the Yuuzhan Vong. It's not that we don't get to see much of them. We do see a few attacks here and there, but the thing is that we don't see the Yuuzhan Vong's point of view. It's only the very ending of the book in which we see Shadao Shai, and we get a bit of his point of view over there. But throughout the book there's not much about the Yuuzhan Vong. And it also had kind of a rushed ending. It was like there's this big battle on Dantooine, Admiral Trace Crayfay comes, and book finished. This problem occurred with the first book too. Both of the first books, Vector Prime and Dark Tide Onslaught, have a sort of a rushed ending. So the second book, Ruben, deals with the involvement of the Imperial remnants in the fight against the Yuuzhan Vong. We see Leia being sent to Imperial space in order to seek an alliance, and by the end she is able to get the Chiss forces and the Imperial forces to help the New Republic. We also see Elagos surrendering himself to Shadao Shai, who teaches him all about Yuuzhan Vong culture and the embrace of pain. After Shadao Shai learns that Elagos is a friend of Corran, he kills Elagos because Corran killed a couple of his domain members in the previous book. We also see the Jedi continuing their missions. Corran, Garnet and Jason go to Gaki with the help of to help the locals, and are also able to find out that if the pollen from the Bafo trees comes in contact with the Yuuzhan Vong armor, the Yuuzhan Vong warrior dies. Meanwhile, Deshara Kor, who was a Twi'lek Jedi, searches for a super weapon to destroy the Yuuzhan Vong, but she is stopped by Anakin Solo and Luke Skywalker. In the final battle, we see Shadao Shai. After he's learned about this Bafo tree allergy, he wants to destroy Ithor because the Bafo trees, they grow on Ithor. So he ends up in a one-to-one combat against Corran Horn, in which Corran Horn wins, and then Shadao Shai's subordinate Dane Lian bombards Ithor with these organic creatures which destroy the planet. Overall, I enjoyed this book. I like the involvement of Pelaine in the book. He was one of the main characters throughout the Bantam era books. Talking about a few of the deaths, the first one was Elagos. His death was rather unemotional. The second death was that of Annie Capstan. She was the wingmate of Jaina Solo, so she dies while flying her X-Wing, and I think her death was a bit emotional because her mother also reacted in an emotional way. And the third and the last death was that of Deshara Kor. She was the Twi'lek Jedi, and she also dies while fighting the Yuuzhan Vong and Ithor. Again, Deshara Kor's death was also a bit unemotional. And that's all about this book. Thanks for watching.